Good morning, Grunts. Sure, cool uncle back at it again with, I think this is a pretty serious topic and one definitely worth talking about. Um, I'm just going to call it what it is. Poosay has mystical powers. And what's funny about it, I was talking about this with the GF a while back, and I made the comment that, the JJ has magical powers, and she didn't disagree. She totally agreed with that statement. Because as a woman, she's also probably experienced guys that would do anything for her, would sacrifice anything to be with her. And so when I when you think about it, and and there's a couple instances I can think of off the top of my head where guys have fought more with their they've used more of their little head in thinking than their big head. And so and this is a big reason why guys get themselves into trouble with women is because they don't think with their big head. Instead, they think with their little head, and then that's what gets them into the trouble they get into. And so, and really, and like I said, this is picking on the guys for a little bit because, and it's true. As men, we are put on this planet to spread seed and create life with women. But now, when you look at it, we're in completely different times where that option is not easily available to us anymore. We've drifted into a society where women don't need men anymore. There's really no need to have men around. Men have become the disposable sex. And so when you look at the divorce rate in this country at about 60%, so about 6 out of 10 marriages are failing. And you take those 6 marriages, I'm willing to bet all those are initiated by women. And that stat gets higher the more educated she is. So if she's college educated, then that number jumps to near 100% of those divorces are initiated by women. So when we look at why these things are happening, um, why men are behaving the way they are when it comes to women, it's because, like I said before, women are the gatekeepers to sex. So the second she gives her body to a man, not only does she develop feelers, but then there's also an emotion on his side that's like, oh, she's mine now. She's mine. She's all mine. But he doesn't realize that having her is temporary, even in a marriage, guys. If you're in marriage, you think it's permanent. It's not really permanent. It's just your turn. I was married for 19 and a half years. That was my turn. I had 19 and a half years of marriage with one woman, and that was my turn. That was one turn. And now she's out dating somebody else. So another guy will have his turn with her, and so on and so on and so on down the line. Now, what she's done after me is irrelevant. Um, is she giving her body out to this guy freely? I don't know. But what happens with men when they get that first whiff of her, that first, especially if you're a teenager, let's say you're 16 and older, you're experimenting sexually with a girl and fellow classmate, for example, and you bust that first nut, and it's a feeling that you'll never forget. You'll never forget it. You bust that first nut and you're just like, yeah, man, this is fucking awesome. And you want more and more and more and more because your testosterone is so high, especially as a teenage boy, like mid late teens and the early 20s, mid 20s, your testosterone is at such a high level that you almost crave sex. And so your biological firmware is telling you, yeah, do this, go, 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 go. And so anytime you interact or meet a woman, you think more with your little head than your big head. And then when things don't work out, guys get mad. They do things that are off the wall behavior. And I'm almost embarrassed to share this story, but this is coming from my dad. My mom and dad divorced in 2000. Um, she was having an affair, which right or wrong, I mean there's more to this story, but I'm not going to go in that deep with it. But she was having an affair. My dad found out, and his recourse to her behavior was, instead of just giving her the divorce, he went as he went so low as to uh, putting cayenne pepper powder in her underwear. So whenever she put on a new pair of underwear or whatever, she'd start getting that burn or itch down below there. That was his vindictive way of showing her, like a fuck around, find out. But anyways, they got divorced, and I'm just gonna pick on my dad for a little while because this is where where one of those instances where Poosay has mystical powers. Let's go back in the time machine to about 2000. Let's see, 2000, yeah, late 2000, 2001, 2002. How many you're going to be dating yourselves when I ask this question? How many of you remember the days like AOL, Instant Chat, or Instant Messenger? And there are a couple other sites had that. MSN had a chat where you used to get online and chat with people from around the world or whatever. And first thing they'd ask you is your age, sex, and location, because back then uh, pedophiles can communicate with young women or boys through these instant messaging platforms online. So it was easy to tempt children. So if you remember them days, raise your hand. Because I mean, I've experimented with those chat rooms where you get on there, you can chat with people from different parts of the country or around the world. And yeah, the first thing that you would ask, or if you was hosting a chat, you would ask age, sex, location, and it became ASL for age, sex, location. So this was all happening about 2001, 2002. But my dad met a gal. There's an old instant messaging platform called ICQ, and he was messaging with girls from around the United States and around the world. And I was digging through it when I was moving him out of his assisted living area and into the nursing home. I brought home probably 4 or 5 boxes of things I've condensed down into probably two now. And in that was like an old address book, and then it had the girl's name and then her ICQ number. So like you would open up ICQ and then you can punch, I want to talk to Melba. I'd punch in her ICQ number, and then you could start. If she was online, you could start messaging her right away. If she was online, you could send a message, say, "Hey, it's me. I just want to see what you're up to. Want to chat later? Get a hold of me." And then you can send it, and she'll get it when she opens her ICQ. So my dad met a gal down in Christchurch, New Zealand, back in I think 2002, I think it was. And he'd been messaging her back and forth in ICQ. Things got heated. Things got very emotional between the two of them. It was like they were in a committed relationship, but they were on the opposite ends of the world. And so what he ended up doing one time from with his job, he took 5 weeks vacation, guys, and flew down to New Zealand, spent 5 weeks with this woman. And this is kind of when things were kind of, it's like, yeah, you met somebody across the world. Is this really legit? Is she really legitimate? Is she who she really says she is? So he flies to the other side of the world, to Christchurch, New Zealand, and he stays with her for 5 weeks and experiences the way she lives. Probably got his pee touched multiple times. He got to taste her, feel her, and man, he went wild for her. So after the 5 weeks, he came back home, and I think he worked maybe a week or two, and then he ended up quitting his job. Gee, guys, I wonder why he did that. Anybody in the back? Anyone want to take a guess? Yeah, because if that P had mystical powers, he quit his job. Not only did that, but he also cashed in his 401k. He auctioned off everything he owned, sold the house, and he proceeded to move halfway around the world to Christchurch, New Zealand, where he proceeded to uh, fall deeply in love with this woman. They proceeded to she gambled his money away while he drank his money, because my dad was an alcoholic. That was the reason why he had a hard time finding women in his location, because of how he behaved. He was an alcoholic. He didn't have any ambition. He didn't have any hobbies. He was just a man that went to work, come home, and then he'd drink his time off and then go back to work, come back, rinse and repeat all the time. And so wasn't a man of ambition or drive. Definitely wasn't in shape. Definitely didn't have a good diet. He probably ate crap food, drank beer all the time, and that was who he was. And most women are not attracted to that, but he could hide that enough to where he could pull the rug over a woman's eye halfway around the world. And he probably told her shit like, "Oh, I make great money. I'll be able to take care of you." But yet, I mean, he may have made the money, but he wasn't physically or mentally able to provide for this woman. And I also think there was a little bit of shady shit behind the scene there where she was looking for an American man to scam off of, perhaps. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny. I never met the woman, and I won't judge her too harshly, but the fact of the matter, he did this. This is like irrational thinking. He acted irrationally, uprooted his life, and moved there for her. Okay. These are some of the things guys do. You know, I've known guys to not pay their rent. I've known guys to buy everything for women. I've known guys to give money to women just because they can. I've known guys, I mean, all kinds of shit. And I've also known guys, and it's unfortunate, we have 22 veterans a day kill themselves to self-deletion. The number is probably far greater for men that will self-delete themselves over a woman. And so when you look at what's going on here, but guys continue to sign up for these social contracts called marriage. Every fucking hour of the day, there's somebody proposing to a woman because he thinks that she's the best he could have. Okay. When in reality, that woman has other options. But for most men, they don't have options. So they will tend to latch on to the first woman they can get their hands on. That the first woman that will touch their pee, the first woman that will let them taste them to war up in them, get that first nut, with no post nut clarity, just fall head over heels for these girls. And all of a sudden, when she's not happy no more, then these guys start acting irrationally. They start misbehaving. They start doing the dumbest fucking things out there that they can do. And all it does is it ruins their lives. It puts them in a tailspin that they can't seem to get out of. Like I said, I've known guys. I've worked with a few guys that have self-deleted themselves over potential divorce. Guys that have tried the marriage multiple times just to have it fail multiple times over are out there harming themselves. They're either they get into substance abuse, and when they get further down a rabbit hole, they turn to self-deletion because these men feel that they're incapable of love. They're incapable of being a strong, loving person to a woman that ultimately will discard them later. And so when we look at what's going on out there, and the statistics are out there, it's things that as a society we ignore. Um, that's why I always tell guys there's no reason to get married. Especially at my age. I mean, I'm south of 50, I'm 48. I have no desire to get married again because I don't want to create another family. I'm too old to do that. I'm happy with a girlfriend, a long-term girlfriend who has the same goals and visions as I do. But I've also learned over the last 5 or 6 years, especially toward the tail end of my marriage when things weren't going so well, that I've learned to control my sexual urge. I've learned to put that more on the back burner and then focus, I'd rather focus on myself. I'd rather go to the gym. I'd rather eat healthy. I'd rather have and partake in my hobbies. I'd rather um, have a very small group of friends. I'd rather not have a social spotlight. I'd rather just do my thing. And, right now I have a girlfriend that so far, we've been dating for a few months now, but so far our values and our vision are still aligned. Um, hopefully that stays that way, but I've gotten to the point in my life where I don't need a woman around for happiness because I know that happiness it comes from within. It doesn't come from anybody else. Nobody else can be your source of happiness. And so when guys are out there rushing in these relationships, rushing into these marriages, they're thinking, oh, this is going to fill a void in my life. No, it's not going to fill a void. It may add to that void later. If you had a woman rip your heart out of your chest and stomp on it, you can't replace that void. You just got to replace it with uh, with things that you enjoy, things that you love to do will eventually heal that wound. But when you go out there and you try to replace it with with a woman that has a propensity to do the same thing, this is where men get hurt. Get hurt emotionally over this stuff because they don't understand that they also have to do the work. Like my dad, if my dad would just sobered up, went through, I mean, he'd been through treatment, but only did it to keep his job. He didn't do it because he felt he needed the help. He knew he needed the job, but he just didn't, he never accepted the fact that, hey, I need help. I've got an alcohol problem. I need help. Nope, he did it to save his bacon. And then he was back to drinking again. But had he gotten sober and because hell, he was younger than I am now when he started his journey with online dating, I guess, through instant messaging. If he'd have just started going for walks, or if he started going to the gym, doing light exercise, started taking a more interest in himself than trying to fill that 20-year void of marriage that him and my mom are married for, he would probably be in a lot better condition now than he is in now. So that's why I always say, when I hear guys that hurry up and they're in marriage two and they're in, they go been married and divorced two or three times. So they're in marriage number three or four. And it's like, holy shit. I say those guys are fucking strong because if they can sit there and get married first time, get divorced, and then do it again. And guys, like I said, if you want the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result. And so these guys it's like, man, how the fuck do you do that? And there comes a point in time where you look back and you get in your 50s and your 60s and you're thinking, well, shit, I got nothing because I've tried to fill the void by keeping a woman in my world all the time. It's costing me nothing but emotional stress, financial stress, to where you got no money at the end of the day. You're looking, the light at the end of the tunnel is getting larger towards retirement, and you're looking at your bank account, your 401k, because some guys have had to give half their 401k to an ex-wife, and then they have to make monthly spousal support payments. And some guys I know have done it to multiple ex-wives. And it's like, well, fuck, at the end of the day, you're looking at, you're like, fuck, I got nothing here. I worked all my life to build a legacy only to have it come taken from me bit by bit by every woman I've allowed into my life. And especially if you've made that legal binding agreement called marriage, that just sets you up for bigger risk in the end. So guys will do stuff like that because of women. And if you do the research, you'll learn that society was built on the backs of men. Society was built to better society as a whole, but it benefits women. Guys do things for the benefit of women. And yeah, I know I could hear oh, that's bullshit. That's not true. Find me a woman that built the Sears Tower. Find me a woman that's built the World Trade Center. Find me a woman that's rebuilt the World Trade Center. Um, yeah, and you'll learn to understand that men do everything for women. And nowadays, you guys will get almost next to nothing in return. And so, but for the guys that get to get a little taste of it, it drives them fucking crazy. I've got someone near and dear to my heart that has a very very young man, um, went through a horrific deal when the girlfriend broke up with him, and he about went there. And I think, thank God every day he didn't go through with it, because my world would be upside down. It's just, it's one of the things where when I coach guys, I try to give them the reality of their situation they're in. Like I got a buddy that's just put an engagement ring on his girlfriend of 10 years. His relationship with this woman, non-marriage, has probably lasted more than married people have lasted in their marriage. I told him, I said, "You sure you want to do that?" ten year long distance relationship with this woman, by the way. And I'm willing to bet that their relationship has lasted longer than the average marriage. But he went ahead and put a ring on her finger, and congratulations to them, by the way. I wish them nothing but the best of happiness. But you just never know. And so that's what I'm saying. Guys will do anything for the best interest of a woman, and they will sacrifice. Men will sacrifice everything, including their lives, for a woman. And right or wrong, I like I said, I'm a happier man post marriage. Um, I get a woman's best when I'm not married to her. And I think, why? And I think, say to myself, why get married? Why? Because when you get married, it's a transfer of power. Okay. When you say I do and you sign that marriage license at the courthouse, you just immediately switch power. She holds all the cards. She now, like I kind of got to laugh when I hear guys talking about their wives, how they fear, how they're scared of their wives. Happy wife, happy life. Really? You're really gonna go there? Fuck that. And so if you don't get married, the power stays with the man. Because like I said earlier, women are in control of sex, men are in control of the relationship. It's always been that way. So if you're in a dating long-term relationship, more than likely that man has, I mean, there are women that do take power in an LTR, but more likely it's going to be a man that holds on to the power, the leadership role in that relationship. Because when you get married, you transfer that to her. Now she has to say, she has more leverage over you. You start getting out of line, she can start threatening you with a divorce. Well, if you do this, I could take half your shit. What's true? She's making a true statement, because she knows at the end of the day, when things don't work, she can just hire a family law attorney, take you to family court, and then you get to watch half your assets go to her. You get to watch your home go to her. You get to watch half your retirement go to her. You're sitting there powerless to do. I mean, you can't do nothing about it. And so, for a lot of guys, their solutions is, they slip into deep depression. They slip into potential life-harming behavior like self-deletion, they mutilate their bodies. They turn to substance abuse, drug abuse. And so I just want to make guys aware of what's really happening out there when it comes to, the mystical powers of that Poosay. And it's true. I mean, like I said, guys will do anything. I just told you about my dad, what he did for Poosay. And so I've learned a lot by just observing others. And I think I don't want to be in that position. So that's all I got today, guys. Have a great day, and we'll catch you on the next one. Toodles.